Hello and good morning. You're watching Market Cafe with me, Snehisha, and with me is Shreyansi Singh. And well, you're watching ET Now. Now, this is a show where we'll take you through all the important global stories. And mind you, we have a whole host of them today. We'll be taking you through everything that was happening in the world while we were fast asleep and what global markets have done overnight as well. And in the second half of the show, then we'll go stock specific, focus on the Indian markets, and tell you what stocks could be potential buzzers in today's trading session. With that, let's kickstart the show then with a global handover. And Shreyansi, good morning. Good moves coming in from the US. So tell us how the global handover is looking like.
Absolutely, and it's looking quite strong when you look at it. Of course, US futures not doing all that much when you look at them, and stock futures were largely unchanged. But when you look at the regular session, what we've seen happen is that there's a host of earnings reactions that were being digested. So several stocks reporting quarterly results posted major moves in after-hours trading also. And when you look at shares of food delivery service, DoorDash, they dropped 8.5% on a wider than expected loss. While you look at digital advertising company Trade Desk, that popped about 18.9%. And this was after topping analysts' fourth quarter revenue estimates and offering an upbeat outlook for the first quarter. When you look at shares of semiconductor equipment maker Applied Materials, that also jumped 12% on positive earnings results. Now, when you look at the three major indexes, they ended Thursday's trading session in the green, with the S&P 500 notching yet another record high, maintaining its level above 5,000. So far this week, you've seen some strong moves coming in, but the broad market index is up by less than 0.1% thereabout. And when you look at the Dow, meanwhile, that is 0.3% higher thereabout for the week after raking in its biggest one-day loss since March 2023, which was on Tuesday. Now, when you look at the Nasdaq on the flip side, on a weekly basis, Nasdaq is lower by 0.5% thereabout. And of course, in the US, you do have the producer price index data that will be washed out for. And when you look at Europe, then European markets closed higher, and this was as investors assessed UK growth figures for the fourth quarter, as well as monitored corporate earnings. Now, the Stock 600 index provisionally ended up 0.6% up, with major bosses and most sectors in the positive territory. So when you look at construction stocks, they rose 1.1%. Oil and gas stocks on the other side fell 0.9% thereabout, and the UK economy, mind you, contracted by 0.3% in the final quarter of 2023, pushing the country into a technical recession. But more on that later. This is largely the handover coming in from the international markets.
Well, absolutely, Shreyansi, and also the US retail sales this time have fallen more than that was expected in January. So we also did see that panning out on the market. With that, let's also shift focus and talk about the oil space, because crude oil futures rose yesterday, shaking off earlier losses on the back of a weak global demand forecast for 2024. Now, the WTI crude contract for March gained $1.5, almost 1.8%, to settle just above that $78 per barrel mark, while the Brent contract for April settled at $82.86 per barrel, or up 1.5%. So big moves coming in when we look at both of those indices, WTI as well as Brent crude. Now, oil prices were finding support from a weakening dollar after the US retail sales in the month of January fell more than expected, like I just mentioned. Futures declined about 1% earlier in the trading session after the Paris-based International Energy Agency, that's the IEA, forecast demand would grow by 1.2 million barrels per day this year, down nearly 50% from the growth of 2.3 million barrels per day in 2023. So the move that we saw in oil initially, just after this report was announced, was just a knee-jerk reaction, and oil prices have seemed to gain and build onto those gains later in the day as well. Supply, however, is expected to exceed demand and grow by 1.7 million barrels per day this year, given primarily by higher production in the countries like US, Brazil, Canada and Guyana, according to the IEA. So, well, that's on the demand-supply front, and OPEC is also forecasting a much tighter oil market this year, with demand growing by 2.2 million barrels per day, outpacing production growth of 1.2 million barrels per day outside the cartel. So, well, this is where the economics comes into play. You have demand and you have supply, but we also have to factor in the fundamental over here, which happens to be the geopolitical action happening, because in the Middle East, remember, Israel bombed Lebanon on Wednesday in retaliation for rocket attacks that killed at least one person and injured 7 more in northern Israel. Talks in Cairo aimed at securing a temporary ceasefire in Gaza appeared to have stalled. Yesterday, we also got an update from Hezbollah saying that they have fired 10 rockets into Israel as a retaliation. So, well, we'll see how all of this, given all the economic as well as geopolitical factors, how all of them play out when it comes to oil prices. Moving on, let's talk about gold also then. And gold prices gained on Thursday after softer US economic data pushed the US dollar and treasury yields lower, while market focus shifted to commentary from Fed Reserve officials for cues on the timeline for interest rate cut. Now, spot gold on the back of all of these factors was up 0.6% at $2,004 per ounce, and US gold futures settled just 0.5% higher at $2,014 per ounce. So largely, well, Shansi, all this is happening in the world of crude as well as gold.
Absolutely, and when you look at other global cues as well then, first of course back home we do have the forex reserves data, but when you look at global cues, you've got US PPI data that I mentioned earlier, and you've also got UK retail sales data. So do keep an eye on those data sets, but it'll be the last day to buy for a host of counters to be eligible for dividends. So the likes of Ercon International, JB Chemicals, JK Paper, JK Tire, NLC India, Orient Cement, and it's a very long list. So you've also got the likes of Sundaram Finance, Torrent Power, Triveni Turbine, IOL Chemicals, First Source Solutions, Dalmia Bharat Sugar, CAMS, and to add to that list also we do have BEML, ONGC, AkzoNobel, Alchem Labs, as well as Bajaj Consumer. Now, in terms of corporate action, of course, you do have the trade unions calling for a strike at a Coal India plant. So that particular news will remain in focus, and let's see how that pans out. But in terms of other events, of course, you do have farmers' protests that sparked a Bharat Bandh on Feb 16, that is today. And that and the developments related to that will definitely be in the spotlight. And PM Modi will also be launching Gurugram Metro project, as well as laying the foundation for AIIMS Rewari. So that will remain in focus, and the Maharashtra government will be convening a special session on Maratha quota, and that will also remain in the spotlight. So those are largely the events to keep an eye on.
Well, all right, and let's shift our focus to the slew of macros that we are tracking for you this morning. And Americans took a break from spending in January after the traditional holiday season surge. Retail sales in the US fell 0.8% from that 0.4% growth that we did see back in December. The decline is a 10-month low. However, economists cautioned against reading too much into the data amid seasonal fluctuations. The weak reports did not change expectations that the US Central Bank would refrain from cutting interest rates before May, and there are signs that goods price deflation is nearing an end.
And shifting focus then to the labour market, where we continue to see limited signs of easing in seasonally adjusted terms. Initial unemployment claims dropped by 8,000 over the last week to reach 202,000, and the 4-week average of claims, which quiets some of the week-to-week noise, rose by 5,750 to 218,500, up from 212,750 the previous week.
Well, all right, and the biggest chatter on the street and the biggest macroeconomic cue to track this morning internationally is Britain's economy, because after Japan, Britain's economy sinks into a recession in the second half of 2023. A major blow to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak before the elections this year. Now, the GDP shrank 0.3% in Q4 of 2023 after contracting 0.1% in the prior 3 months. Back-to-back 2 quarters of falling GDP and contractions places the UK economy in a tough spot, marking the first recession since the first half of 2020 amid the fallout of the COVID pandemic.
As better than expected Bitcoin ETF inflows broke crypto markets, the second largest digital asset may finally be waking up. Ethereum, or Ether, has surged 16% in the past 7 days and is now trading above $2,800 for the first time since May 2022. The Ethereum Bitcoin ratio is on the rise after hitting its lowest level in nearly 3 years in January. But moving away from that then, welcome to the heart of culinary delight, where every bite tells a story of Mumbai's rich food heritage. Join us as we unravel the vibrant tapestry of flavors, spices, and traditions. Snehi took us through 2 of the city's most iconic hubs. Take a look.
We're in the financial capital of the country, India's economic heartbeat, Mumbai, or Bombay as locals fondly call it. Now it's a land of diverse cultures, diverse cuisines as well. And well, from roadside dhabas to picturesque cafes, from luxury restaurants to five-star hotels, this city has it all. So join me as we embark on the culinary journey throughout the city of Mumbai today. We are now here with the management of Aram Hotel and we are with Mr. Sunil Ghopadkar. Sunil sir, आपको यहाँ पे कितने साल हो गए?
कम से कम 36 साल हो गया।
अच्छा, इतना टाइम। और ये रेस्टोरेंट कितना पुराना है?
1939 से चालू है।
ओह, दैट्स अ वेरी लॉन्ग टाइम। तो सुनील सर, आप मुझे ये बताइए कि आप एक दिन में करीबन कितने वड़ा पाव बेचते हैं?
कम से कम 10-12 हज़ार।
10-12 हज़ार वड़ा पाव एक दिन में। दैट्स अ वेरी बिग नंबर। तो सर, विशिंग यू ऑल द लक और आपका सक्सेस ऐसे ही चलता रहे। थैंक्स सो मच फॉर टॉकिंग टू अस टुडे। Thank you. I'm now being joined by Isha Shroff Shah, who's a food and travel blogger and goes by the name Foodholic Travels on Instagram. Hi Isha, thanks so much for taking the time out today.
Thank you for having me, guys.
You've been in the blogging business for the last 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
So tell us about the kind of culture, the food culture that you've seen in the city over the last 10 years.
The food culture definitely keeps changing, and with being in Bombay, there are so many different cultures that we get to see every single day, and so many different cuisines, out of which saying that my definite favorite is Maharashtrian. I love everything Maharashtrian, and specifically Vada Pav. Vada Pav is my heart and the heart of Mumbai.
And right on cue today, we are at Aram Vada Pav in front of CST station. So Isha, do you think this Vada Pav tops the list?
It definitely does. I have had this Vada Pav almost every single day when I was working here in one of the offices.
Vada Pavs.
Not every single day, that will be a little over exaggeration, but definitely I've had a lot of Vada Pavs, and this one definitely hits my list.
Alright, so Isha says this Vada Pav, Aram Vada Pav, tops any other Vada Pav in the city. Do we agree with her? Do we think it's right? Well, only one way to find out. Come with us and take a bite. It is indeed one of the best that I have tasted. Unlike you, I haven't gone across the city trying different Vada Pav, so I can't say if this is the best. It would be too soon to say that. We'll be going to a lot more Vada Pav places as well. But yes, this by far one of the best ones that I have eaten in Bombay easily.
I told you.
We're going to quickly finish this Vada Pav and hop on to the next place, so you stay tuned with us. Well, we did talk about migrants earlier in the show, but the oldest group of migrants to come to the island of Bombay were the Parsis. Now behind me is the iconic 120-year-old Kayani bakery. So come with me and join me as we gorge on some delectable Irani food. Let's go.
Place looks really nice.
Place looks nice and look at how full it is in the middle of a weekday.
Literally.
And I'm excited to be here. So let's ask for the staples right
Let's order.
आपका स्पेशल क्या है यहाँ पे?
मटन कीमा पाव, खारी चाय, पनीर भुर्जी, वेज पाव।
एक बन पाव मस्का ले आइए आप, 2 चाय धान साथ ले आइए। So Isha, did you know that this year in 2024, this cafe, this place is going to complete 120 years of its existence. 120 years of being in the same place, serving the same food and still being so relevant after all of this time. And well, that's in a nutshell what Parsis have done after they have entered the country, you know. So what's another fact or a few facts that you can tell me that stand out to you about this whole Irani cafe culture?
So I definitely, like I have memories of Irani since obviously birth, and I also stay in a location where Iranis are there. One thing I definitely remember about Iranis is, which I always noticed, is that they're always at the corners of every location in Bombay, and they're literally like the V shape, and they come, and even the one in Matunga, the coolers, which actually is used in a lot in the industry as well. But I just love how absolutely every Irani looks very similar, and it takes the corner space. I think that's very beautiful about the Iranis.
Alright, our food is here.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
see what's in store for us.
वेज चीज पाव,
Thank you.
Oh, that's a lot of food. I can't wait. And I literally love lunch hour. Like that's one of my favorite.
know, right? I can't wait to dig in. It's peak lunch hour and we're hungry. So come eat now, eat with us.
Are you a chai girl?
Not really.
Wow.
But when it's Irani chai in your hand, anybody is a chai person. So good.
The milky Irani chai and the one
traditional and
maska.
so good. I can't wait to dig in.
So good. Nothing can be as good as this bun maska, and it's outstanding.
Can you imagine for so many years that they've been here? And I have come here since I was a kid, so that's at least like, not to mention my age, but like 25 years of me coming here. And
It's
butter
just
is the
yeah.
same. The
I think
pav
it's the pav. Say zyada, it's the butter. I think.
Yeah, it's the consistency over
yeah.
so many years. Like you come for a walk in the morning, you drop by, have a bun maska. You're getting late for school, you come
have a
here while
bun.
the bus comes, have a bun maska and leave. It's been such a staple of my childhood, and I'm sure a lot of other people
Yeah,
also
yeah, absolutely.
pick it up as such a quick snack, and it's just so it's a soul food for me.
I know, right?
Let's see what we have here. We have the dhan
Dhan
sak
sak.
over here. And we also have this cheese puff. I say let's dig into the dhan
Dhan
sak because
sak.
that looks like so much food. Let's see how this tastes.
I can't wait.
It's such a Parsi staple.
Yeah,
It's been so famous over the years.
can't wait. Oh my god.
This is absolutely delicious.
It is so good. It is literally so good. Yummy.
There's also a very delicious bite for all our viewers as well. Here you go. But for now, I'm going to do it on your behalf and I'm going to eat it.
Another one for me. It's so good.
Absolutely. It's just perfect. The rice is so good. It's cooked to perfection. The nice long grains of basmati. It's beautiful. It's visually appealing,
Yeah.
tastefully appealing, and it's just so wholesome to eat.
Cheers to the dessert.
Wow. I would say mine is delicious and so soft. I love how it's moist. Love it.
I think that looks really good. The best part about this is it's not too watery, it's not too runny, it's not globby, it's
very
not thick,
perfect.
it's just perfect. They hit it on the nail every time with their desserts. And I'm so glad we're ending this on a sweet note because, well, all's well that ends well.
Absolutely.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, shifting focus to the Red Sea crisis causing disruptions across the globe when it comes to trade. Global shipping companies consistently advising customers to prepare for the crisis to stretch into the second half of the year. Therefore, we at ET Now decided to take stock of how the disruptions are impacting our sectors from textiles to pharma and agrochem. Somit is standing by with that analysis. Somit?
Well, if you see, the Red Sea issue started because the Iran-backed Yemeni group started attacking commercial ships passing through the Red Sea. Now, hence, shipping companies are now choosing the longer route, that is from the Cape of Good Hope instead of the Suez Canal. Now, because of this, if you see, the shipping rates have actually increased. Now, from Asia to Europe or US, the shipping rates have nearly increased 5 times. Now, so far, the impact on Indian companies of this in the third quarter has been marginal, but all of them have clearly mentioned that if the issue persists, then the impact could could start increasing going forward. So here's a list of the companies that could actually get impacted because of this Red Sea issue. Now when it comes to the textile space, it's SP Apparels, which has a 70% exposure to EU, so that company could get impacted. KPR Mills has an exposure of close to 25%. Then there are many other textile exporters like Indocount, Wellspun, Trident, Gokaldas. These all companies could get impacted because of the same. When it comes to the steel sector, JSW Steel is one of the key exporters to EU, and hence that company could also get impacted. When it comes to the plastic and piping industry, around 20% of the CPVC is imported from the European Union market, and hence this could adversely impact Astral and Supreme Industries going forward. When it comes to capital good companies, there are a host of companies which are exporters to the European Union like Cummins India, Siemens India, ABB India, Hitachi India and KEI Industries. So keep an eye out for all these capital goods companies. When it comes to agrochemical companies, export exposure to the EU has, as a percentage of revenue, has been higher for companies like Sharda Cropchem, which gets nearly 54% of its revenue from exporting to the European Union market. Then there is UPL, which has nearly 14% of the revenue, and then there is PI Industries, which has nearly 9% of its revenue exposure to the EU market. When it comes to the auto and auto ancillary space, now this space gets impacted the most because all of these companies have some or the other exposure when it comes to the European Union market. Like Motherson Sumi has an exposure of nearly 60%, Balkrishna Industry has an exposure of nearly 50%, Rolex Ring also has an exposure of nearly 50%. Then there is CI Automotive, which has an exposure of 30%, Endurance Tech, Sona BLW have an exposure of anywhere between 20 to 22%, followed by Bharat Forge, RK Forgings, Uno Minda and JN Axle, which have an exposure anywhere between 13 to 15%. When it comes to pharma companies, which the list of companies which have a high exposure to the European Union market are Marksans Pharma, 41% of their revenue. Then there is Divi's Lab with 39% of their revenue. Aurobindo Pharma gets nearly 26% of their revenue, followed by Granules India, which also gets nearly 23% of its revenue from the European Union market. And lastly, when it comes to the chemical companies, names like Atul, SRF, Ami Organics, Navin Fluorine, Alkyl Amines are key exporters to the European Union market. So keep an eye out for all these companies and all these sectors in trade, because if the Red Sea issue persists, then the impact on their cost side could start increasing going forward.
Right, Swami, thanks so much for taking us through that. Important stock impact could be coming out of that development happening. But let's get a move on and talk stock specific. Let's talk about Gujarat Gas, because that saw muted volume growth in the Morbi gas in the third quarter. Now, the management is attributing this performance to the disruption to the export market amid the Red Sea crisis as well. So, Swami, tell us in detail about how this is going to impact Gujarat Gas specifically.
Now, why Gujarat Gas is important for trade in today is because when the company had come out with the earnings, we did not see much of a negative reaction on the earnings despite a very weak set of numbers. In fact, on a YTD basis, if you see, Gujarat Gas share prices are up nearly 26%, which is the best start for Gujarat Gas that we have seen at least till 2022, and it is the most expensive city gas distribution company in the space, because the 12-month forward price to earnings of Gujarat Gas stands at close to 29 times, while that of Mahanagar Gas and IGL Gas is anywhere between 12 to 15 times. Now, what is that the management said on the conference call that was held yesterday post-market? Now, what the management is saying is that the Morbi volumes continue to be around the 3.65 MMSCMD mark versus propane volumes, which are on the higher side now at around 5 MMSCMD mark. Now, this means that the company continues to see growth challenges when it comes to one of their key mainstay area, that was the industrial volumes in the Morbi region now, and this is despite the fact that we have seen a sharp drop when it comes to the LNG prices, and propane prices were on the higher side. Now, this means that Gujarat Gas has now become a price taker in the Morbi region, and they do not have any upper hand when it comes to ruling the prices and the volumes when it comes to the Morbi region. Now, going forward, we are also expecting the propane prices to come off, because it's a seasonally summer season where we have seen a drop, where we usually see a drop in propane prices. So that could put further pressure when it comes to Gujarat Gas's industrial volumes going forward. Now, apart from that, they also said that the Morbi volumes have Morbi region is also facing the pressure of Red Sea issues, because the capacity utilization in the Morbi region is lower at around 75%. Hence, also the volume offtake when it comes to the Morbi region is on the lower side. And when it comes to the non-Morbi industrial volumes, also if you see, the company is getting a volume of around 2 MMSCMD from there, whereas 2 years back, if you see, the volumes in this region was around 2.4 MMSCMD. And this is despite the fact that the company has expanded to various new areas such as the rural Ahmedabad and the Thane region as well. Now, going forward, the company has maintained their EBITDA guidance at around 4.5 to 5 MMSCMD, and they're aiming to keep a balance between volumes and margins. That is what the management said, and they are saying that the volumes would grow at a growth rate of around 8 to 10% on a YOY basis going forward, and this will be led by the CNG segment. Now in the CNG segment, the company is aiming to add nearly 200 new CNG stations. The current CNG station stands at around 815, which means that 25% capacity growth is what they are expecting from the CNG stations over the next 2 years, and this is what will lead the volume growth for the company, because CNG volumes are expected to grow nearly 15 to 20%, while the overall volumes are expected to grow around 8 to 10%. So this means that the mainstay area of Gujarat Gas, as the industrial volumes, are expected to take a hit or slow volume growth going forward. That is what the management has indirectly indicated.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's take a look at windfall gains tax then. And earlier it was at 3,200 rupees per ton, and now it's been revised to 3,300 rupees per ton. So that's an update coming in. And when you look at diesel exports as well, there's a special additional excise duty that has been hiked to 1.5 rupee per litre from NIL. So that definitely will remain in focus. Now, when you look at petrol as well, windfall gains tax on petrol per ATF exports continues to be nil. So that's largely the update coming in when you look at windfall gains tax.
Well, all right, and let's get a move on then and talk about the new AIIMS hospital, because in a move to strengthen India's health infra, the centre will be laying a foundation for 7 new AIIMS hospitals in the next 10 days. So Sameer Dikshit is joining us with all the exclusive details about that. Sameer, good morning. Take it away.
Giving a massive push to the health infrastructure in the country, 5 new AIIMS are going to be dedicated to the nation on 25th of February. Not just this, on 20th of February, one more AIIMS is going to be dedicated to the nation, and on 16th of February, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to lay the foundation stone of AIIMS Rewari. So in totality, if you see, there are 7 AIIMS, of which either the foundation stone laying is to be done, or it is going to be dedicated to the nation in less than just 10 days. So that's a massive push to the health infrastructure, and the capex, or the expenditure that government is putting in, is to the tune of somewhere roughly around rupees 10,200 crore. So these 5 new AIIMS are in the regions like AIIMS Raebareli, AIIMS Bhatinda, which is there in Punjab, Kalyani in West Bengal. In addition to this, one AIIMS in Andhra Pradesh that is also going to be dedicated to the nation. So these are AIIMS which are not just being added up, but also one more AIIMS which is there in Rewari. The foundation stone laying will be done by the Prime Minister on 16th of February. With these multiple AIIMS, government understand that this will help to reach out to the people in huge numbers, and will also upscale the health infrastructure. Government also says that in the last 70 years, if you see, there were just 6 AIIMS in the country, but during the Modi-led NDA government, if you see the AIIMS number, it has been increased to 18. So that itself reflects that so far how government is committed to the health infrastructure and to improve and upgrade it.
All right, Sameer, that's an important update coming in. Thank you for that. But with this, we're out of time on this segment. We'll see you with more news and updates on the other side.
Hi there, welcome back, and thanks so much for staying tuned to Market Cafe. You're still watching ET now. Now, the FTSE rebalancing is in focus, and the announcement is expected today post-market hours. Now, these changes will come into effect on the 15th of March, so which stocks will see the highest inflows and volume action? My colleague Winnie is joining in with a detailed roundup of that. Winnie, good morning. Take it away.
So in terms of the FTSE reject, that will be happening today post-market hours, that's 16th of Feb. The flows will start coming in the last 30 minutes of March of 15th is when we'll see the flows coming in. Now the key stocks that we're keeping an eye out on in terms of most inflows that these stocks will see, HDFC Bank is topping the list. Then we do have Suzlon, KPIT Tech, Fortis as well as Phoenix Mills in terms of the most inflows that are expected to see there. In terms of HDFC Bank, the weightage is also up, as well as the flows that are expected is $656 million as well, and followed by the other stocks that I mentioned. Other than that, in terms of the top 5 companies that could see the most amount of volume action that could be happening would be RBNL, SJVN, Maharashtra Bank, Mazgaon Dock as well as Kalyan Jewellers. So yes, that's the how we are expecting in terms of the flows as well as volume action to pan out in the FTSE reject, where we will be seeing this action announcement post market hours today, and finally the flows will be coming in on 15th of March.
All right. All right, with that, we're timed out on this edition of Market Cafe. From me, Shreyansi Singh, Snehisha, as well as the entire team that put the show together. Thank you so much for watching. The market takes the action forward.